Welcome to Feeling Asian, a podcast where two Asians talk about their feelings. I'm Youngmi Mayer.
And I'm Brian Park.
And before we get to our guest, we're going to do our Patreon shout-outs, like always.
Yes. If you like the podcast, please support us on Patreon at patreon.com/feelingasian. We offer different exclusive benefits, but any donation amount gets you a shout-out on the podcast where Youngmi and I guess who you are based on your name alone. Youngmi, are you tapped in?
Yeah,
are
I'm
you
so
ready?
tapped in. I'm ready. People get so excited about these, so I feel like I have to make it good, you know?
Our first shout-out for this episode goes out to one name, Kazu.
Oh man, I know this is sorry, but that just
Say
reminds
it.
me of like my favorite restaurant where Brian and I went to called Kazunori, the hand roll restaurant. And I just want everyone, I don't know if I said this yet, but I have not really eaten out with Brian that much. Like we hang out, but we rarely go to restaurants. And I'm about to call Brian out. He's going to be upset. We went to this restaurant, right? And if anyone's ever worked at a restaurant as a host, which I have for years, you know you know when somebody walks in and you're like, it's gonna be like 15 minutes for a table, and then they say, well, why can't I just sit at that table? There's no one there. And it's cause like there's a reservation and they think that they're telling you, the host, something. Like, I'm the host. I know that there are open tables behind me. Brian said that to the host, and I was like, oh no, I didn't know Brian was that guy. Oh, I did not know that about Brian. So this is just a warning to everyone. If you have a friend and you care about them, you know, if they make sure you go out to a restaurant and eat with them early on in your friend relationship, so you know that they're not that guy.
Oh my god.
He was like, well, there's an empty chair right there. Why can't I just sit?
In my defense, though, there are definitely hoity-toity restaurants in New York where they won't seat us in a preferable seat because it's saved for reservations. This has happened to me multiple times.
Yeah,
and
but
those seats never get filled. Never get filled during the duration of our dining experience. And so as a customer, I'm like, don't you want my money? Why, like, who are you saving this for? Are you saving this for some stupid NYU filmmaker fuckhead who's not going to show up and spend his parents' money?
You are spoken like a true person that's never worked in a restaurant. Well, I'm like, okay, so I have to say, the host thing is that they're saving that for a reservation, but usually it is a better table because, you know, somebody made a reservation, and, you know, who knows why no one showed up. But sorry, Brian. Back to Kazu.
Back to Kazu. Kazu is the owner of Kazunori, notoriously the restaurant where I kind of gave the host a hard time in front of Youngmi.
A restaurant owner, Kazu. Yeah, this is Kazu. And then after work, he looked in the notes and it said, douchebag Brian Park came in.
Oh, God.
I'm just kidding.
I don't like the way these shout-outs are starting off, but regardless, Kazu, I love your hand rolls. Thank you for donating to the podcast. Our second shout-out goes out to Erica Lygren.
Erica, I fully
sounds
yeah.
Swedish. Erica Lygren.
Yeah, but I feel like she has
Scandinavian.
dark hair. Like she's one of those like Swedish people that randomly have brown hair, and it's like her
Biracial.
thing. Oh,
Maybe she's biracial. Half Asian, half Swedish.
I'm getting that vibe. What do you think that in Sweden, if you have brown hair, you're like discriminated against? You're like a full-blown POC. Wow, a non-blonde person. I'm sorry, I'm saving that table for a reservation.
Oh my God.
That's what happens to her when she goes to restaurants.
I would like to think that they like you even more.
Yeah.
I think you'd be a polarizing figure. There'd be people who would discriminate against you, but then there would people who would fetishize you. if you
Yeah,
had
it's
dark hair in Sweden.
It's probably unique there.
Yeah. You know, in Japan or in Korea,
Yeah.
for better or for worse, they have this. They like white people. They're like so fixated, or it's like,
Yeah.
oh wow, a white
When
person.
they see one, they're like, ooh, blonde hair, like that.
Right, and so
Yeah.
maybe Asian people are like that in Scandinavia.
I could
But
see
they're like,
that.
Ooh, this is different. Someone who's not blonde
Ooh.
hair, blue eyed.
Someone under 6
Yeah.
foot tall. Yeah.
Someone who treats their
look.
restaurant hosts with respect.
I'm
me.
seeing that. I'm also seeing. I feel like she's wearing a sundress when she's gonna listen to this. That just might be because the getting railed in a sundress tweet has been blowing up. It's
Also,
on my mind.
I want to go on the record. Youngmi, you do this a lot. Like, let's say I do something that I commit a transgression in front of you. You have an incredible poker face. You're like a real G's move in silence. You won't say anything, but then it won't be until months later. Well, you'll be like, "Oh, remember when we were getting drinks at that one thing? Well, this little thing you did was really inappropriate." I'm like, why don't you just tell me during the moment instead of like storing it in
why.
a memory bank?
This is why, and I don't think a lot of people might. If you know Brian personally, you know this. Brian gets so hangry, and it's scary. And so you're so angry. You were so hangry. You're like, what can I want to eat. I'm starving. So at the moment, I was trying to look out for my well-being. So I was like, I'm just gonna tell Brian when he calms down.
Well,
sorry.
time for our last shout out. Hopefully I don't dig myself into a bigger hole in this one. Thank you, Erica, for the donation. Last shout out for this episode goes out to Chris Crawford.
Oh, she's my friend. Chris Crawford, famously my
she
friend.
is your friend
famously.
who has hung out and eaten out with you many times
Yeah.
and has never once
Never.
treated the host disrespectfully.
Chris, wait, say what you think. Say what you think about Chris, and then I'll tell you. I'll tell you if you're wrong, because I already know her. I can't really do myself.
Yeah. Okay. So Chris Crawford is a creative. I'm gonna guess has dyed red hair, funky glasses. Is a creative director, tattoos, and when she asks how long the wait will be, regardless of how much time the wait is, always thanks the host for their service and understands that what they do is a very difficult job.
She's blonde, so she does sometimes have funky glasses, and she's very nice to wait staff because we met working in a restaurant like 12, 13 years ago. So I'm assuming she would never say, wait, I see an open table right there. Assuming she would never. If she did, that would be funny.
All right. Well,
thanks for
fuck
the
me.
money, Chris.
Thank you for donating, Chris. And once again, thank you to our listeners for supporting the podcast. If you'd like to do so, you can do it at Patreon at patreon.com/feelingasian. And Youngmi, speaking of restaurants and being mean to hosts, which I did because I was hangry, I think it's time to introduce our wonderful guest this week.
I'm so excited. This person definitely has never asked the host, has never said to a host, wait, I see an open chair right there.
Jesus. Oh my God. Well, listeners, you're in for a fantastic treat. This week's guest is a chef and owner of a restaurant, Zeph Barbecue, and he's also your grandma's favorite grandchild. Everyone, give your ears to Logan Sandoval.
Yeah, what's up, you guys?
What's
Hi.
up?
Logan,
Just chilling and
Logan,
killing.
have
Yes, ma'am.
you ever told a host, have you ever said, wait, there's an open chair right there. Why can't I just sit there?
Never in my life.
Anyway.
Brian, I love you. I appreciate you.
Were you
but
dying?
That was a hard list. I was dying a little bit on the
We
inside.
Oh my
A
God.
little bit on the inside.
Restaurant
many-
people. Yeah.
That's literally all we are, is restaurant people. And we all know it, and it all sucks, and it all hurts, and it's all brutal. And I would never ask a hostess.
Is that a very
that
specific
table's open.
type of person to ask that? Like, what percentage of people are the type to do that? Are we saying like 50%, 10%?
I would say 50%, because if you've never worked in a restaurant, like your ignorance is bliss. Truly. Like, I really appreciate the ignorance. But if you've ever worked in the restaurant, any type of restaurant, it doesn't matter if you worked in a Denny's or a Michelin star restaurant, like, you know how hard it can be.
Yeah.
Especially as the hostess.
Oh
well,
my God.
you know, in Brian's defense, I have to say there are lots of jobs that I haven't had, and I do fucked up shit. Like, and then my friends will tell me that that's fucked up. Like my friend who's like, yeah,
Same.
like she cuts hair, and like sometimes like I will say something to my barber, and my friend will be like, I can't believe you said that. Do you know what I mean? Or like
Same.
So I've.
Same.
In all honesty, like I don't know.
Because this is all I've ever known.
Yeah.
So like other different jobs, everyone has their own struggles and push through. So like I get it. I get it.
Well, speaking, so you know, Youngmi and I were both podcasters, and I was thinking like, what is a transgression one can do to a podcaster? And I actually experienced it kind of recently, Youngmi. It's
What?
probably, you know, working in restaurants, notoriously difficult. So many fucking assholes who just are disrespectful. I want to go on the record and apologize. I was very hangry. I should not have said that to the host. But I was.
The industry forgives you, Brian. The industry forgives you.
I was at a like a rooftop gathering, Youngmi,
Yeah.
with you know, it was with people who I had not met before, and it was a bunch of Asian people, and they were like, "Oh my God, you do that thing with Youngmi. I love Youngmi. You have that podcast." And they were like talking
Yeah.
about the podcast, and there was a Sonos speaker there. And then
Yeah.
they started playing the podcast through the speaker during this, like, I literally wanted to jump off of the roof.
That is
That's
fantastic.
making me want to kill myself. That is I'm so sorry, Brian. I'm so sorry. That sounds
That's fantastic.
Oh my God. They're like, I've never heard it. What's it about? And they're like skipping through, and it's just like clips of you and me being like, I'm fucking sad. Killing the vibe.
oh my God, that is so bad.
I
So
love
if you're
it.
listening,
Oh my God.
do not ever do that to a podcast host.
Don't
God.
play.
You guys don't like that? You guys don't like being put in blast like that?
Oh
Just at random
God. Now
parts?
I'm realizing what a dick I was.
No,
Basically, I did the equivalent of going up to a DJ and like asking them to play a specific song while they're in the middle of like a set. Fuck, I was
Play levels.
I was
what?
that. Play Avicii levels.
Play levels.
Play
all you'd hear
Chain
for a
Smokers.
Chain smokers. I want to hear Marshmallow.
I see a table right there. So, do you mind can I speak to your manager?
When I moved here from San Francisco, and when I lived in San Francisco, everyone was like, oh, New Yorkers are so mean. But actually, like, the people are kind of generally like more pushier here. But because of that, the wait staff is like way more open or accommodating to like shitty behavior.
Yeah.
And like if
Yeah.
if Brian did that like in San Francisco, the host would be like, like just fucking throwing a hissy fit. But like in New York, like they're used to like.
So I actually made her
crazy
day
shit.
by
So
asking,
she's just like,
by question. I that was the best part of her day.
You toughened her up. Yeah. Yeah.
That was the nicest customer.
I tell you what.
That was a nice gesture that I did, was pointing out that there was an empty table.
If you did that here in LA, she would have been in the corner like
Yeah.
crying.
In New York, they're just like, whatever,
it's
everyone's
different out
mean.
here.
Who cares? They just roll with
Yeah.
it.
Well, Logan, we're so excited to have you on the podcast. Before we ask you how
Thank
you
you.
feel, Youngmi, how are you feeling?
Oh shit! Oh God, I don't know. I'm like in a good mood these days. I'm in a good mood, I have to say. I have been one thing post pandemic, and not that we're post pandemic, but you know what I mean. Like now that we're going out and stuff, I'm like, I just don't like people. I never liked people, and it's not that I don't. Let me rephrase that. Logan was like, yeah, and then I was like, no, never mind. That's not what I meant.
Yeah.
So
I hate
let me
people
fuck
too.
people. No, let me rephrase it. I like people. Generally, I feel like I'm like my personality. I can get along with most people, even if they're like saying stupid shit. I I don't mind people, but I don't like social situations because I feel like anxious and like just like ugh, like I feel uncomfortable, and that was me always since birth. But after quarantine, now that I'm going out and like going to bars, I've like that has like dropped significantly in me. Like I'll just go. Usually, like my instinct when I walk into like a bar or someone's house or a party or something is like my gut feeling is like, ew, oh, I hate it, like I'm scared. But now I'm like walking into places like I'm ready to have fun. Like I'm just like so comfortable. Like I don't feel scared or sad or anything. I'm just like so like thirsty for human interaction, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, so now I'm like in a really good mood because I'm like going out and I'm just like, wow, I get to like go to a dive bar with my friend and there's like creepy guys like talking to me and this is kind of weirdly fun. Like I don't know, so I'm just like in a really good mood. How about you, Brian? How are you feeling?
Yeah, so I mentioned this before, but I'm going to visit my family in Texas pretty soon. However, my mom and my sister are coming to New York for a week, and then I'm flying to Texas with them. So I'm feeling a little bit anxious because my mom will be in town for a week, and I'm really excited to see her, but I also know that, I don't know, it's almost a rite of passage every time we hang out that there's going to be some like at least like there's always like one tense moment where you know, like I'm going to be upset about something, will upset me, or there will be tension between us. But you know, fingers crossed, hopefully it'll be smooth sailing. But you know how Korean moms be. They will find a way they will craft a shiv out of the most rudimentary materials, and they will stab a hole into your emotional well-being. And it's short-lived, but I'm a little bit anxious because I'm like, oh God. Oh, well, let's see what it's gonna be this time. I don't know if you can relate to that.
Yeah. What is she gonna say? I feel like my mom says something about my body that I've never even considered, and then I get really like, she'll be like, your hair is too like rubbery or something random, and I'll be like, do I have rubbery? And then I'll start spiraling hair? Or just something weird like your feet look dry or something. Yeah.
You know what? I think I'm gonna get ahead of it. I know exactly what it'll be. You know, we're gonna be at a restaurant. We're gonna be waiting for food.
Stop.
And the host will be like, it's gonna be 30 minutes. And I'll be like, okay, great, thanks, we'll wait. And then I'll come back and my mom will be like, why didn't you question them? You know what? This is your problem. You lack assertiveness in your life. You should tell them and point out that there's empty tables there. God, you can't do anything right.
So now you're blaming that on your mom. You're saying your mom taught you that.
That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. I've been like, shit. I knew I should have pointed out the empty table to the host. But instead, this is what I get in return. How about you, Logan? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I am tired though. I'm very tired. Just a lot going on, a lot of moving parts with like the business and everything else, but things are going well, and it's been a whirlwind. But I'm excited, and I'm super happy to be doing what I'm doing, and I'm excited to be here. So I think I'm doing pretty well. I'm feeling good.
Are you busy?
Super tired.
Your business is like blowing up, right? Is that what you're?
Yeah. And it's literally just like my wife and I, Anna, my wife and I, and we have a 5-year-old daughter, Nolani. She just turned 5. So it's like, it's part of trying to be, 1 and 2 business owners, and then 1 and 2 husband and wife, and then 1 and 2 friends, and then 1 and 2 like, you know, parents. So it's tough. It's a lot to handle, but we do a good job of it, I think. And we kind of switch responsibilities. Like right now she's in San Diego getting her like tattoo done, and I'm here working on stuff for the business and stuff. So it's like she just got back from Europe. Lucky woman. She got to go to Paris and a wedding in Greece, and she had a great time, which was absolutely awesome. And Nolani and I kind of just hung out here, and we went to the zoo, and we went to deep sea fishing, and we just did a bunch of like dad stuff. And then it was straight back into 4th of July weekend, which is huge for barbecue. And so just I'm tired. I'm good, but I'm tired.
Yeah, it's just so hard when having like working and then having a kid. It's like endless.
Yeah, I mean, you get it. You understand. It's just, and especially as they get older, it's funny because like people always talk about how like when they're younger, that's the hard part. Like the terrible 2s, terrible 3s. No, it's after they break 3 and they have to be entertained and you have to like be on them all the time because now they're turning into little human beings and you want them to be functional, great people for society, and that takes a lot of work in itself on top of doing like everything else that's on your repertoire. Yeah, I know, right? Your face is the way I feel.
Well, Logan, this is for our, I guess, people watching on YouTube, but for people listening to the podcast, you are a man, like a manly man. You have this giant beard. You have this long, luscious hair. You're like strong Jason Momoa
I'm
vibes.
so touched right now.
And and in appearance, you do look ethnically ambiguous. And the reason why I bring that up is that growing up, you didn't know you were multiracial and part Asian. Like
No.
when we just talked to you, you said that you were told that you were fully white, and then at one point you were half black, and then you finally learned you were part Japanese and Hawaiian at the age of 22.
Yeah.
How can you like tell us all about
kids,
that?
Bring it in, kids. Bring it in for the real one. Yeah, man. So like basically, long story for a short story, I grew up in a very a very like middle class area of Southern California. It's Simi Valley. We actually live here again now. We're about 40 minutes from downtown Hollywood and about 30 minutes from like downtown LA without traffic. So I guess you would consider it like the suburbs of Los Angeles. So that's where I basically grew up my entire life with a single mother. And so for the first chunk of my life, the first 22 years of my life, I just assumed and just knew that I was like just another white dude from Simi Valley, just another bro that wore Affliction. Well, Affliction wasn't around then, but like No Fear, and I had high black socks, and I wanted to own a lifted truck, like I wore a flat billed cap, I'm pretty sure I consider myself a fucking Peckerwood at one point because that's just what the area like was, and it still is a lot like that, which is unfortunate. But we can get into that a little bit later. But it's a very like middle class white America suburb in like Southern California. So we still surf, we still like have that Hollywood, but it's very closed in. Like in my high school, I think there was 2 black kids. There wasn't a whole lot of ethnic kids. So it's like basically like 50% Hispanic and 50% white here in Simi Valley.
Yeah.
And my mother's second husband, where I get the last name Sandoval from, he is half Mexican and half Apache. So he's Native American. Just try to keep up with me on this, okay? He's half Mexican and half Native American. And so he and my mother got married when I was not 8 or 9 or 10. And they were married until I was like 17. So I did a lot of my growing up in a Hispanic home. So a lot of my early like culinary experiences, a lot of my early cultural experiences were Mexican. And then I would just tell people at school, and it's like, because Sal, my mom's husband, adopted my brother and I, and that's why we have the last name Sandoval. So, and like our birth name was Voorhees. So not to backtrack, that was my mother's first husband's last name, my brother's father. And so,
and he was
grew up
white.
thinking he was my father, and then she married
your
Sal.
mom's first husband was white, and so
white
you
is the
thought
day
that
of-
was your father, and so you thought you were just 100% white.
Yeah, and because he left when we were so young, my mom has maybe like a handful of pictures of him and stuff, and he just looks like a typical white dude. But he met my mother during Olympic trials for powerlifting in Northern California. My mom never went to Olympics, but she was a high she competed at a high level at like the national level and stuff for powerlifting. And then she had me, and then my brother was born, and then Jeff, my brother's father, left, and then we moved down here to we moved down here to live with my mom's parents
Right.
here in Simi
Yeah.
Valley. My mom met Sal at Color by Deluxe, which is a company that used to pack, print, and ship movie reels in Hollywood. And it was union. It was the first time
Right.
my mom ever had a good job. She was able to save up money. She bought a fucking house. Like, it was a true blue, like, single
Right.
mother American
Right.
dream when we were, like, super small. And the house is literally like 4 blocks, like
Right.
that way,
Wait,
which
so
blows
can
my
we?
fucking
Yeah,
mind.
can I ask you? So you thought you were white because you thought your mom's first husband was your dad, who's your brother's dad, and then what led
Yes.
to you discovering that you were not white? Like, when did they tell you that?
So my mother Natalie and Sal divorced when I was 17. He had an affair with a family friend. All the
Uh-oh.
shit went down. Blah blah blah. Yeah, it was fucking crazy. He foreclosed the house because he pulled out a bunch of money to go marry his new wife. Like, this shit was like literally like a fucking, like, my mom tells me all the time, she's like, you need to write a memoir. I'm like, I don't think the world's ready for this shit.
They are
But-
ready.
But
We're listening now.
he pulled out the full equity line of the house.
Yeah.
It got foreclosed. I didn't tell my mom. Like, we got evicted. We were living in and out of a car and with some friends for a little bit, and then my mom's husband now, Mike, kind of just like pulled us in, and we basically slept on his couch for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And then he built on 2 rooms for my brother and I. The guy's a freaking saint, you know, just like
Yeah.
a fantastic guy. We lived there. I graduated high school. I did MMA for a little bit. Started going to culinary school. And when I was in culinary school, when I was 22, my mom came to me. I was like, hey, can we talk? And 22, like, you're running around, you're doing stupid shit, you're being an idiot. Like, I was
Right.
like, oh, fuck, like, what am I in trouble for? Like,
Yeah.
like, what did I do? It was like legit, like, right before I was about to like walk out the door for work. And dude, she like sits me down and just like basically just like spreads out this yarn of like how, you were basically an affair baby.
Wow.
You were born out of wedlock, or not even wedlock at that point. Like, I had an affair with this man, Charles,
Oh, wow.
during powerlifting training during like that time of my life. And you were born, and we just kind of she's like, I kind of just went with it. And I was like,
Oh my god.
I was like, oh, okay.
You're like, I'm Asian? Fuck, no!
No, it was even before, dude. So before, I had to find out I was Asian through like my own kind of like research and like development. Because
Whoa.
I guess my father, I've never seen a picture of him, but I've done the research, and my mom had enough information on him that I could finally like track him down.
Yeah.
And get the information. And I talked to a couple of like his sisters and stuff. They weren't very forthcoming, but they gave me enough, But because my father was so dark, my mother assumed that he was black.
Okay.
So at
Oh.
first,
So she said that you're half black.
So your mom didn't even, she just knew what he looked like. And
this was a dude she had been hanging out with for like a month. It was
Wow.
during camp, blah,
Wow.
blah, blah. Yeah. And so it was one of those things that like, I mean, you want to talk about fucking like skeletons in your closet. Like, she just fucking like put that shit up and under. And I don't know what eventually like pushed her to, I mean, because like obviously like I can't, like if you look at my brother and if you look at me,
Yeah.
we're polar opposites. Like my
Right.
brother's 6'6", he has blue eyes, he has like very light hair.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where like I look at like baby and like kid pictures and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Right.
no, like I know this was the 80s, but no one asked. Like no one was like, hey dude, like that, like hey, that's especially like living in like Northern California,
Yeah.
up in like Clear Lake, like Humboldt area.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wider up there than it is down here, and I
I've
asked
been
my,
there.
I asked my mom, I was like, no one's just like, hey,
Hey.
that's
I'm
you adopt him? Like, where's he from?
I'm imagining
You know?
your
Oh,
like the
wow.
rest of your family is like very Swedishy, like 6'6", blonde, and then it's just like you.
Well, that's the thing though, because and that's what kind of like made it easier because like my grandfather on my mother's side was very dark skinned.
Oh, okay.
He I believe like if it boils down to it, I think he's like very Mediterranean, like very Greek, Italian, like did construction like his entire life all the way from
Right.
Yeah.
moving from the San Fernando Valley and stuff. So he was always out in the sun. So he was hella tan all the
Your-
time. And so
your
was my
grandma-
grandmother.
Yeah, your grandpa sounds hot. It's like,
I mean,
sorry, it's my long running joke.
when you made these multiple discoveries about your own personal identity, I guess in this case two. First, you were like, "Oh wow, okay, I guess I'm part black," and then
No bullshit, like,
after some investigation, then you realize that you're in fact part Asian. Did
Yeah.
that evoke or elicit any changes in you, like after those discoveries?
Dude, it's wild, and after our first conversation too, I kind of I started thinking about it. I gave it a little bit more clarity, and I gave it a little bit more time in my own head. And when I was younger, I fucking loved anime. I loved Dragon Ball Z. Some of my first tattoos were Asian inspired tattoos, and there was a small part of me when I was younger that because Simi Valley is so white, and because it is so just it's very one note. I feel like a lot of people, including myself here in Simi Valley, you want to be different. You always want to be different, right? You want to be, you want to be different than the social norm. And so it had started as me telling people that I was Hispanic because it just it fit the narrative. My dad's Mexican, my last name's Mexican. If anything, people are gonna think I'm Filipino, but I would just tell people I'm half Mexican, I'm half white.
That was before your mom told you that you were half black, mistakenly told you.
This is years.
Yeah,
this
so
is years.
before that, you were just telling people that you're Hispanic already.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that makes sense.
Because it was just
because
that's what it technically on my birth certificate, that's what it said.
Right.
You know, and I actually ended up getting money from the state for culinary school because of my Native American heritage, because I was adopted.
Right.
So I got grants. I mean, I also did a lot of research and a lot of footwork into it. But I tried, because we didn't have a lot of money for me to go to culinary school. I jumped through all the hoops. I'm still paying the fucking loans.
Yeah.
I'm 32, but I jumped through a lot of hoops and I did a lot of research. And so that's just that was kind of my identity. I never deep dived into it. I was never one of those type of people who, where I was just out in the open. I was just I'm Mexican, Mexican pride, blah, blah, blah. I will tell you what though, I did wear Fat Farms and baggy jeans and a big white t-shirt because picked my head, shaved my head down, it was
all the Koreans were doing that when I went to school, so I guess apparently we're all Mexican. Well, okay, so in your head, I guess maybe there was a part of you that was even though your mom said you were fully white all your childhood, there's a part of you that you're I'm not, I feel like I'm not. And then getting back to Brian's initial question, what was going on inside your head when your mom told you that you were part black, and then later on when you discovered you were actually Asian and Hawaiian, Japanese and Hawaiian, what was the journey in your head?
It was kind of wild just because of the fact, and it's funny too, because I mean I've talked to a lot of therapists about it.
Yeah.
I've done the footwork. I've always tried to work on myself, and that song and dance. But I mean, it really wasn't that huge. It was more affirming, knowing that knowing that I was always different, I fucking knew it. Yeah, fucking,
I knew it all along.
And I'm not gonna lie, dude, I was I'm fucking half black. I'm fuck yeah, dude, that's the coolest thing you can be. I was fuck. I was that's fucking awesome. But it was also one of those things where I don't hate Simi Valley, but Simi Valley is very white and very whitewashed. I was the more weird I can be, I was the more fucking power.
Yeah.
But honestly, when my mom first told me that, it didn't even the black thing left me shook, because it was even more confusing, because I grew up my whole life knowing that I wasn't the same as everyone else.
Yeah.
But then to have that kind of bomb dropped is just Mom, that's a reach. That is a reach.
Yeah.
But I mean, we finished up, and I told my mom I loved her, and I told her that I wasn't mad, and I told her that it would have been different if we would have sat down and she would have been you're adopted, I'm not your real mother. My world would have crumbled, but because I had so little relationship with Jeff, and because then he was interchanged with Sal,
right?
It was almost just cool, my mom has always been the one constant in my life for my entire life. You know, I've had grandparents and parents come and go from the father's side, and we don't really speak to my mother's side of the family anymore just because of family bullshit. Yeah. So it's my mom has always been my rock, and so is my brother. I mean, my relationship with them, it changed absolutely nothing. It was just more of that head talk and that headspace of being I'm not gonna lie, I really didn't even think about it for 2 days. I went to work. I told my coworkers, I was my mom kind of dropped some fucking news on me today, and they're just like, what? It's just
Yeah.
like fucking like mind blowing,
Yeah.
you know. And it took me and like my stepbrother Mikey, who I have a great relationship.
Yeah.
He was like the same way. We were just like sitting in the room, and I'm pretty sure we were stoned, and he's just like, bro, like, you're black. I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like, fuck.
What was the process of you? You said that you researched your biological father, and then you eventually
Yeah.
found out that you were actually Japanese and Hawaiian. What was that like? And how
So
did
that-
you
yeah,
feel
that was
then?
gonna be-
Then
That
you're
was like the next.
yeah. You
That's
like
the-
sent
that's
back
the
your
next-
like Black Panthers like membership card. Like,
Yeah.
sorry,
I s-
sorry,
I
I was
sent all my
wrong.
Black Panther stuff back. I sent back all.
Thinking back
All
to when
that.
you were stoned, you're like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm half black.
I just see you taking off the Black Panther hat, like all bummed, like
Just like slowly.
never mind.
No, like, and it's super lewd and it's super shitty. But like, no, when like my mom was like, I was
Yeah.
like, man, there's a lot worse things to be. You know, like
I
I was
know.
I was
Yeah.
I know it would leave a lot of like white America just like, oh my god, like what? But I was like, fuck yeah, dude, like hell yeah, like more heritage, more culture than I ever thought I'd ever have.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, so that happened, and it probably was about like a month after, and I was just like, okay, because I was really wrestling with the fact like, do I want to deep dive into this? Because there was a big part of me that just wanted to be like, fucking let it, just like literally like Elsa, just let it go, just fucking
Right.
just leave it behind. It doesn't matter. You are still who you are. You're still the same person. You're still your same mom, still your same, stepdad.
Yeah.
Like nothing has changed. Nothing has changed.
Yeah.
You've gone 22 years not knowing, but kind of knowing, and now it's affirmed. Like, what else do you want? Like what else?
Yeah.
What else could you need? And so I thought about it, and it took me a lot of time. And it's like I haven't even told like my mom that I like reached out and like started searching for him.
Wow.
Because it was just
Oh.
one of those. Well, because I didn't want her, because like I never wanted to take anything away from her. Like once not to like side panel, but like my mom was always there for me. She raised my brother and I. She fucking bent over backwards. She killed herself. She was a single mom living in a shitty part of California. Like she went through hell and back for my brother again. And I didn't want to take anything from her parenting by searching out this other dude who had no
Right.
who literally just, lack for a better term, I know it's my mother, but like busted a nut and dipped. You know what I mean? Like he just
Right.
fucking like, but it's the truth though. You know what I mean? And my mom had said that she had reached out to him
Yeah.
when she was younger and when I was first growing up and stuff. And he just was just straight like, nah, like,
Oh, really?
he's like, nah, like,
Ugh.
yeah, like get a DNA test. And she's like, look at him.
just
Just
look.
look at this little
I
fucking
don't.
guy.
I don't want to be offensive, but he likes anime.
Right? He's 5 and he's already wearing a size 8. Like he's dude.
I
Well, that was always the thing,
it's like
too,
the
where, like-
Maury meme, it's like surveys the results
Literally.
came back. You are
are not the-
look at him. Just look.
Yeah. But it's like it's wild too, and and the other thing too is like it's all kind of like taken with like a grain of salt because my mom doesn't have any pictures of him or anything, but she said he looked like the dude from Ghostbusters.
Ernie Hudson?
Yes, Ernie
I'm
Hudson.
gonna show the YouTube watchers. Ernie Hudson,
But yeah,
handsome man.
But she said much younger, no mustache, lighter complexion, but was like basically like around the same like build, the same look. She did say he did have a little bit more Asian features, but I
Right.
mean I really didn't take anything like when she says it's that person.
Yeah.
I mean, you just assume, but then so she gave me his name, and like I won't say his full name on the podcast, but his name was Charles so and so. And he worked at a certain company here in California, and that's where like I
Right.
started, and that's like I knew where he like lived in his area, and so I swear to fucking God, I started Googling.
Wow.
I just started Googling, and I Googled,
Wow.
and I Googled, and I dug through shit, and I narrowed it down, and then I found a Charles with the same name.
Wow.
Sent an email, never heard anything back. Sent an email, never heard anything back. And then the third email I sent, because I mean this is over the course of like 6 months too.
Yeah.
Like it was one of those things where like, but it was on the third email where like I got the this email doesn't exist kind of thing. So he basically like
Yeah.
blocked me. And it was a very simple email. It was very put together. It was just like, hey, look, like
Wow.
my name is Logan. I spoke to my mother about, her name is Natalie. At the time, her name was Natalie Voorhees, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. You guys trained together at the Olympic Center in Northern California. And it was just very short, tight, just very to the point. If you would like to reach out, if you like to talk. And like after I didn't get the first email back, I should just let it go. Truly. I should just let it go. But he basically like blocked me, and I never heard. So then I fucking, what does any good millennial do? You jump on Facebook and you start fucking going and you start looking. I couldn't find his Facebook, but I found a sister's Facebook, which she's now passed. And so I straight up like messaged her on Facebook and was like, hey, look, this is what like kind of is like the Jimmy Jam.
Yeah.
This is who I am. I don't know if he's ever said anything. No. And she didn't message me back for like 3 weeks. And when she did finally message me back, she's like, hey, I understand what you're going through. I know what you're looking for, this kind of thing. But he politely asks, you know, to just be left alone. He has a family now, this, that, and other thing. And I was honestly like, cool. I was like, that's all I fucking needed to know. That was all I fucking needed to know. Because, like, now I can just, like, let it go. You know what I mean? But I was like, hey, do me a favor. What is, like, kind of like the family history? And I pitched it to her as, like, I just want to know for my future kid and for my future thing, like, what is my ethnic, like, who am I? Like, it's that fucking Jackie Chan movie. Like, I was like, yo, like, can you just, like, I don't want any information about him. I don't want any information about his family, where he fucking lives, his phone number. I was like, yo, like, who, like, are we? Who am I? And how does this, like, fit in? She prefaced every single, like, Facebook message. I mean, I deleted them a long time ago, but she's like, in no way, she had it, like, written out, and she would copy and paste it into the top. And I think it's because, like, if I'd ever, like, lawyered up, but she's like, there's no capacity that I'm admitting Charles' relationship to you. Which, dude, and I mean, like, I know, like, I see the look on your guys' faces, and yes, it's fucking awful, and I mean, fucking whatever, but to have it that clean cut helped me so much more than if it would have been muddy, because if I would have met him, or if I did find out where he lived, and he was like, yeah, let's meet, like, I don't know what that would have done to my mom. I don't know what that would do to my brother, you know, it's
or
one
even
of those
how
things
you would react.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, do you walk up and punch him? Do you fucking walk up and hug him? Do you fucking spit in his face? Like, do you?
If you're Korean,
start
all of
crying?
the above. That's Korean. You ever see those like long lost Korean like reuniting shows?
Yeah.
Or like
And it's intense.
so she would write this weird legal jargon, and then she said their ethnicity or something, and that's how you found out. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
She was like, Charles's father.
And now you're
is
on
from
Feeling
Okinawa.
Asian.
Yeah. Charles' father is from Okinawa.
Wow.
Charles' mother is from Hawaii. She's like, and so like they grew up there. She didn't give me a lot of information, but she's like, these are basically your ethnicities. She's like, it's been kind of watered down a little bit because I guess it could be my grandma. She never said she was my grandma. But she's like, my mother is Hawaiian, but she's also mixed because she's older on the islands. She's also mixed with some other like island ethnicities, and we're not sure what it is because like after like, you know, the 1900s and everything was getting like shifted around. Yeah, I guess my grandmother's line or my would-be grandmother's line of family comes directly from the island. Ooh. And then I don't know much more about Charles's father. Yeah. And then, so wow. I thanked her for her time, and I was like, I really appreciate it. And like I said, like she didn't give a lot, but it was enough for me to be like, okay, like I can literally not cut it out of my life because it'll always be part of my life. It'll always be an experience, and I will tell my daughter about it one day when she's like, Daddy, why is our family so fucking weird? Like, well, let me tell you.
Let me tell you the weird. You know? Get ready. Well, can I just say? I know you were saying. I know you were saying when you were a kid, you were like, oh, like I felt like I was really white passing, but I feel like as a biracial person, we have really good like biracial radar, and also I grew up, you know, in Micronesia around a lot of like, you know, like not only Micronesians but like Polynesians, etc. I feel like I could have fucking, if somebody asked me, I would have been like, I think that you're like white, Japanese, specifically Okinawan, and Hawaiian. I feel like you look so like that. Yeah.
This is what's I've I don't know if you have the answer to this, but this is just something that's rattling in my head, and that is, I meet people who are artists, and they have like a really unique name. And there's a theory for it called nominative determinism, where, you know, if you go around New York and like, hey, my name's Skylar, I'm a fine artist. I feel like when you're born with like a unique name, like that means your parents are the type of people to pride individuality. They give you this unique name. You're raised with this unique name, and then you become an artist because you like. It becomes reaffirming. You're like, I am a unique person. My name is Skylar. Like, I'm unique. I'm different. And so, you know, I'm Asian. I got teased a lot for being Asian. I experienced a lot of discrimination for being Asian. People thought I was very effeminate.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on and on. We all know the negative stereotypes. And I'm just like, I wonder if you would have, if you knew growing up that you were half Japanese and Hawaiian, like if you still would have become a Chad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. No, you're right. I get what you're saying. I totally get
I don't know if this makes sense, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a preconceived notion of what those things mean because you didn't have that, you know, this like whatever it means to be Asian. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the other thing too. Like I said, like Simi Valley is very like half white, half Mexican. So I didn't have, not that like, I'm saying that like I would have seen another Asian kid and been like, oh fuck, like you're my kinfolk, like you're like you and I like, you know, belong to each other. But I mean, I didn't have any of those things like around me other than you know, Toonami and Adult Swim and anime. You know, that was like my really first big exposure to Asian, specifically Japanese culture. And not to sound like an ignorant white boy from Simi Valley, but like I always loved all different types of Asian foods. Like I said, not that I grew up eating Asian food, but I was exposed to so much more growing up in a Hispanic household, and I learned to like tripe and you know, like cow, like beef cheeks and tongue and you know, like very bold, very ethnic flavors without ever having like any Asian flavors. So when I did start getting introduced into Asian cuisine, and I was doing, you know, sushi and a lot more traditional like Eastern Asian cuisine, which that's what really reflects on my food now, that I absolutely fell in love with because I love the flavors, I love the intensity, I love the brightness. And I feel like barbecue's lacking a lot of that, but it gave me that Mexican food, that Latino household gave me a lot bigger exposure than what it would have been if just growing up in, you know, Simi Valley in, you know, eating McDonald's and hamburgers every night.
I'm glad that you brought that up because like one of the things that we wanted to touch on was like your food as a chef, and it just seems like it does have a lot of Asian influence. Do you think that there's like this like there maybe that's how, because like I don't know if you know, but my ex-husband is adopted and he grew up just eating white food, and he knew he was Asian obviously, but like he only grew up eating white food, and he said sort of the same thing. Like he was always like, I was really drawn to like this Vietnamese restaurant in my neighborhood, and I was really drawn to like this Tex-Mex restaurant, even though that's not very authentic. And he was like, I felt like that it hit me in a different way, and that's like what led to him becoming a chef. And I see sort of like the similarities in your cuisine. Do you think that like, what are your thoughts on that, like just being multiracial and how that, do you think that there's something there, that there's this connection to the food that you had, even though you didn't know that you were Asian and Hawaiian?
I definitely think there is, but I do remember there was a turning point when, after like learning about Charles and like, you know, my background and everything, there was a point in my career where I started doing more research into Asian cuisine, because it was something that now, not only did I have a passion for, but I had a connection to that I had always missed out on. You know, that I'd never been able to have.
So it's kind of like a conscious decision as well.
Yeah. And that's the same type of like decision I make for the rest of my food. Like, you know, and like back then, like the big name, at least in my mind, that like when I was graduating, when all this was going on at 22, I was graduating culinary school, like the big names were Granite Cats. It was David Chang, and like all these other guys, you know, Thomas Keller was still really big. You know, Jordan Kahn was here in LA. Jean-Georges Von Gretchen, which was always a big like fusion type of guy. These were the type of people I started being magnetized to because of the way they were executing flavors without mudding it up, if that makes sense. They were like take someone like George Von Gretchen, for example, who is extremely French, but he's doing at the time like true blue, like, you know, Vietnamese food, even though he's a white dude out of France. Because
Yeah.
he did the research, he did the legwork, he talked to people, he learned the stories, and that's something that always took really close to me. But then you have someone who was like David Chang, who was basically doing like Korean junk food at a very high level. So you had these two polarizing chefs who were doing two very different things, but were also working towards the same goal. And I absolutely like was fascinated by it.
Yeah, I'm like always, it's so pseudoscience-y, but like my mom would always say things like, oh, like Danny can, like his palate is like a Korean person, even though he grew up only eating like cream cheese logs and stuff like that. And it's
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm uncomfortable with it because it sounds a little like eugenicsy and like, you know, we like what we eat because of our race, but like, yeah.
No, there was a study, not a study, but there was a couple papers and a couple people that were talking about it for a while, just like on I call it the dark web of the culinary industry, because it's like, if you go on Reddit and you get on these different like message boards and stuff, and like you can really and this was before, you know, this was back in the day before Instagram and Facebook was big and all that stuff, where it's everything's at like your fingertips. Like, even though we had the internet that was at our fingertips, it was you still had to do the footwork to go find out like information and recipes and all this other stuff. And there was people, and I think someone, I might be wrong, but someone termed the coin like ethnic mirroring, or like something to do with how your brain structure is wired specifically to food and your olfactory and your smells. Is like you're hardwired to like those things because your entire line of ancestors for the past, you know, 10,000 years all basically have eaten the same thing. All Germans have basically, especially in the last, you know, 150, 200 years, when people weren't traveling as much, people weren't going all over the places. Because you got to think, I mean, like 150 years ago, planes didn't fucking exist. So like people ate the same, Koreans ate the same type of food in that structure. Japanese, Hawaiians, especially Hawaiians, because they never got off the island. You know, and that's why I feel like America is such a melting pot. And it's a good thing and a bad thing, because some of it does end up getting gentrified. But it's also a good thing because we pull so many things in, and a lot of stuff's done really well, but then like a lot of stuff's really done half-assed. And I just hope that like Zep Barbecue and us, we land on the good side of it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess that's what my follow-up question would be, is when, as a chef and a business owner in the culinary industry, like when does it become gentrification of a cuisine?
I'm telling you right now, I'm trying really fucking hard not to do it right now, because it's hard. Because we went, and long story for a short story, we went from doing maybe, I mean, we hit a pretty, not dark, but a pretty slow time in Zep Barbecue last year, around like October to like January. And it was very, very hard. We were only doing like maybe like $1,500, like $2,000 of revenue in a weekend, which is like that's actually probably leaning towards how like to the high side. But there was like a couple weekends in December where like Anna and I, we only made like $400 a weekend. It was just like, fuck, dude, like what are we doing? But having said that, when you're only doing 15 orders, I can hang ducks and do like traditional Peking duck in my garage. I can do spam musubi that I emulsify myself. I can do, you know, ramen broth for 5 days and not like cut corners on a half-ass it, because I'm only making those like 14 bowls of ramen. And those 14 bowls of ramen can be fucking fantastic. And I drive down to Little Tokyo to get the noodles. And, you know, I pit smoke the chasu, but then I braise it. It's like creating that fusion. You know, I'm sourcing the literally my buddy has chickens in his backyard that I'm sourcing like the 7-minute egg from. You know, like the eggs are fucking blue, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
But, you know, that was a lot of fun, and we were doing it, and I would literally just like jump online and I would research like Taiwanese street food or Japanese street food, or like I would even be like what are they eating in Guadalajara right now? Like what's popular in Italy right now? Like what are the kids into? What are the kids eating on the streets? You know, and we would try to like replicate that through the eye of barbecue, and it was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot about like my style of cuisine. And then January, when the Eat article hit, everything just fucking like, we went from doing like 15, 20 orders to now we're doing like 160 orders in a weekend. You know, it just exploded overnight, and we had to take a step back, and I couldn't do the cool shit. I couldn't do the ducks. I couldn't do the spam as often. I couldn't do, you know, the crawfish ramen that I wanted to do, because it's just me and my wife and a fucking garage and a 500-gallon cooker, you know? So it's hard to perform at that level and get that much food done while still making sure things are the way I want them to be. So there's like, they're authentic. Yeah.
Do you think that that's the key to like maybe as a chef, taking another culture's cuisine and executing it, because I actually I mean, that's what I think there's no problem with anyone doing any kind of cuisine, you know, whether they're a white person doing ramen or whatever. But I think personally for me is like, and what I'm hearing from your answer is like you want to make sure to respect it and give it the touch, that the authentic touch. I know everyone hates the word authentic, and I do too, but like maybe just say like you want to respect it.
No, 100%. No, I totally agree with that too. Is like, because at the end of the day, like, perfect example, there's a fried chicken recipe that I use on everything. Like, I used it on Tastemade a couple weeks ago. We did fried chicken sandwiches this last weekend. Like, I literally use that fried chicken recipe for fucking everything, and people love it. But I learned that recipe from a 75-year-old black man in Louisville, Kentucky, and we won 2 back-to-back fried chicken championships in 2015 and 2016 with that recipe.
Right.
With that, and this is a recipe that he got from his mother and from his grandmother and stuff. And honestly, it's super simple. It's a brine. It's a super simple seasoned flour, but it just hits different because we fry it with like dirty oil. There's a lot more steps that go into it than just like the chicken in itself. But people fucking go crazy for it. But every time I use that recipe, whether it was on Tastemade, one of our menus, when we do it at Employees Only here in West Hollywood, I always make sure that his name gets put on that menu first. It's not my chicken. It's Melvin Mallory's fried chicken, because that's not my recipe. That recipe was gifted to me, and now I'm gifting it to like the rest of the world. And
that's the shit. Yeah, that's the shit that the white people are not doing, by the way, and that's why we're mad at them. That's why people are mad at white people, because you see like a chef doing some sort of char siu bao whatever thing, and he's like, I came up with this, and it's like, okay.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard watching that kind of stuff, and especially in the day and age too, you want to watch your ass, because like, you don't want to be called out. You don't want to be that fucking person that gets dragged through the fucking mud and you know, basically being told that you're doing it wrong and not giving the due diligence, because the due diligence needs to be given. And when we first started writing menus, because of where we live and because of the not lack of culture, but the lack of ethnicities here in Simi Valley, in the beginning, before the Eat articles and stuff, a big chunk of probably 90% of our business came here from Simi Valley. Okay. And so I felt it was like my responsibility that once we got out of underneath the cover of like barbecue, to educate people and to kind of like, and even if it was just a little blurb underneath the item and then the descriptor and then the price, at least I'm trying to do my part to bring awareness to the community, to educate the community on stuff that they would never have known before.
Youngmi and I want to thank you for joining us on the podcast and just sharing your story, because it's so unique and I think it takes, like you said, there's like, it's a story of resilience, and I think that
I appreciate that.
It takes a lot of self-discovery and processing and coming to terms with yourself to be at a place where you can share this part of yourself. Yeah. So Youngmi and I want to thank you for your openness and your vulnerability.
Absolutely.
And we want to leave you with the question that we ask all of our guests, and that is, what is something that you're proud of?
My daughter. Yeah. My kid, my little...
I'm so sorry I have to stop you, because this is Feeling Asian, and I'm sure that she is a wonderful and you're proud of her, but we're trying to make the reason behind the question is because Asian people do not like answering it, and they're like, my daughter is she's a perfect human being. But what is something about yourself that, I mean, you could say, like, if you mean like I'm a great dad, you know what I mean, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
No, I am really proud of the father I've become, because when Anna got pregnant, we weren't going anywhere with our relationship. We weren't even together. And the relationship and the family that we've built out of nothing and now this business is something I'm very proud of. And like us as like a team unit. And like, I'm very proud of the barbecue business. It's a pain in my ass a lot, and it fucking, pretty sure it's giving me ulcers, but I love it, and it's doing really well, and we're finally getting the recognition that, you know, I've strived for over a decade, being in the industry and, you know, being put up there with a lot of other big name barbecue people. And honestly, like, being called one of the best new restaurants in California is fucking insane, because I'm cooking with all white oak and out of a giant propane tank. You know what I mean? It's wild. So I'm very proud of being a father, and I'm very proud of being a business owner.
That's so great. And that's, it's so difficult. I feel like this sounds cliche because people are always like, it's so hard being a parent and, working. But it sounds like
anything.
Yeah. It sounds like you have like a very great family and an amazing business. And we are so happy that we got to talk to you today.
Absolutely.
Can you tell our listeners where they can find you on social media?
So Logan Sandoval, aka your grandma's favorite grandson, aka Zeph Hawaiian, ZEF_HAWAIIAN. I always get that wrong sometimes. I think I nailed it though.
Yeah, that was perfect.
I say it enough nowadays. But yeah, you can find us on Instagram. I'm not very active on Facebook anymore because it's a cesspool. Our website is www.zephbarbecue.com. If you're in Southern California, you can find us on Talk, where we sell our barbecue, which is Talks/Zeph Barbecue.
And what about you, Youngmi?
My social media is YM Mayer. You can find me at Youngmi Mayer on TikTok. Also, yes. How about you, Brian?
Yes.
I don't know how to do this still. It's been almost 2 years.
You guys can find me on socials at It's Brian Park. And be sure to follow us on social for our podcast page. We're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram at Feeling Asian Podcast. And a quick shout out to our audio engineer, Sarah Pak. You can find her on Instagram at IM_PAKT. So please reach out to her if you have any audio related projects that need to be mastered with her wonderful skills and wizardry. And that's it for us. Thank you again, Logan.
Thank you.
Thanks to all of you for listening. Bye, everyone.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.